Okay, it is 6:30. I'd like to call the Amberley Village Council meeting of January 11, 2021 to order. Please call the roll.
Richard Bardak.
Here.
Peg Conway.
Here.
Alita Kamine.
Here.
Tom Muthing.
Here.
Ray Warren.
Here.
Natalie Wolf.
Here.
Scott Larmer.
Scott, you're muted.
Kiki. Oh, here, yeah. Andrew Kiki, I don't see him yet.
Yeah, sorry.
Chief Wallace
Here.
and Rick Kay, who I don't see yet.
Okay, if everyone please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, and again, we can stay seated. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, the first item on the agenda this evening is the minutes from our last meeting of December 14. Those minutes were circulated in the council pack. Are there any suggested changes to those minutes? Seeing none, we can consider the minutes approved. Next item on the agenda is the finance report for November 2020.
Thank you, Mayor. The UAN report has been included in your council packet, and some highlights from the general fund have been included in a memo that goes along with that.
You have,
In regards to the earnings tax for the month of November, the collections totaled $150,000. This is up about 21% from November of 2019's numbers of $123,000. Our year-to-date collections as of the end of November is $2.7 million. So we've collected about 91% of what we had estimated. Our estimate was $3 million. We are going to fall short of that $3 million collection, but we are going to land in the range of $2.9 million. It looks like we're probably going to be about 1 to 2% greater than what we collected in 2019. So that's a great place to be considering what we have endured this past year with COVID. In regards to our total revenues for the year, $5.6 million is what we had estimated to take in. We're currently at $5.4 million, so we're at a 97% collection rate on money's overall revenue overall. For the expenses for the month of November is usually a lower expense month than it was, $340,000. And so far this year, we've spent $4.7 million, which represents about 91% of the $5.6 million general fund budget. So we ended the month of November with a $6.1 million general fund balance, unencumbered general fund balance. And that concludes my report.
Any questions for the manager? And again, okay, Ray, I see you have a question.
Yeah, so Scott, question on the expenditures. So I'm going to presume that some of our expenditures were not made this year because of the anticipation of what COVID might do to our revenues. So I imagine some of these expenditures are being pushed off to next year.
That is correct. And then the other piece that I would add is with the CARES funding, even though the CARES funding did not replace what we had budgeted because you could not technically use CARES dollars for items that were already budgeted, what it had the effect of doing is it did pay for quite a bit of our personnel cost. So we were able to book fire and police salaries and benefits to the CARES money. So that greatly relieved our general fund of some of those expenses. So that certainly is going to show when we do a report on 2020 how that was impactful from that perspective.
Ray, could you put your hand down? Anyone else have any questions? If not, we'll move on to committee reports. First committee is the Public Buildings and Parks Committee.
Okay, thank you. The committee met on December 21st.
And we dealt with two matters regarding the Amberley Green District zoning text that were referred from our November 30th work session. The first was in regards to clarifying processes for the village to hold events on the property. Scott presented us with the temporary use language that is in the zoning text that allows for certain kinds of events to be approved by the BZA, and noted that currently existing code allows staff to administratively approve some events like garage sales and tents elsewhere in the village, not at Amberley Green. And then Brian Snyder was at our meeting from Hamilton County Planning, and he explained that however the village currently arranges events, that can continue with the Amberley Green District because it doesn't change anything until there is someone who seeks and is given a designation. So staff suggested that our existing code be amended to allow them to approve events of a week or less in duration, and the committee concurred with that and felt satisfied with the text going forward as is. And then another committee or some other process of council will take up addressing any code changes in other sections. Then the other thing was how to incorporate the mksk conservation study into the district zoning. There had been some talk about, adding it on or making it part of the text, but we were concerned that that would be too rigid and too limiting. So we wanted the text to have some meaning in the process. So Brian Snyder suggested that the study be incorporated by reference as a condition for approval in the zoning text. That way potential developers, the BZA, and future councils would need to consider it as part of the approval process, but the study itself could be updated or changed or augmented in the future. So the committee really felt like that was a great solution to the situation. And so therefore you have in your packet resolution 2021-1 adopting mksk conservation study for Amberley Green. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded that we adopt resolution 2021-1, which would formally adopt the mksk conservation study of Amberley Green. Are there any questions? I do not see any raised
Alita's
hand.
hand is up.
I see literally a raised hand.
Yeah,
Alita.
I can't find my hand on here. I'm going to try to find it.
That's fine. I saw your hand.
Yeah, I just wanted to say a couple things about this. So first of all, I actually have a question on the first item, which we can come back to since I know we're in the middle of a vote. But this is great. I think just supporting everything that the committee did with this, I think this was a great outcome. Fully support it. I did want to mention and wanted to thank, I think, from the last version, in case folks hadn't seen it, because this I think happened in that committee meeting. We had talked about what to do with the connectivity study as well, and I think I saw in the final version there was a slide on incorporating that kind of connectivity piece as it related to the green, which I think was a great addition here, and really just an ongoing commitment to that as well. And I, hopefully these are not to sit on shelves. These are, working documents that this is really hopefully the beginning of a process where we can be talking about coming to fruition with some of these exciting opportunities for conserving green space on this and all of that. So looking forward to that. And then I can save my question on the other item.
Okay, so we'll complete this and then we'll come back to your question on the other item. Are there any other questions? People can raise their hand either electronically or you can just raise your hand. Peg, you have a question.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were voting.
Oh, no. All right. It has been moved and seconded that we adopt resolution 2021-1. All in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed? So be it noted that it passes unanimously. And Alita, we'll come back to you with your question for Peg on the other item.
Sure, yeah, thank you. I just wanted to clarify. So the changes to the existing code about that under 1 week thing, that's happening through, that's going to get sent like to law committee or something, and we're going to work that. Is that but
That's what I left the committee meeting with, the understanding that really wasn't the purview of the Public Buildings and Parks Committee, but it was, and staff would initiate something with another committee, probably law.
Okay.
Scott, is that correct?
That is correct. Andy has been asked to go ahead and draft language for that. And so once I get that, then we will get assigned to a committee, but it most likely will be the law committee.
great. Okay, thank you.
I'll just briefly note that we also continued our discussion of the attempted dog regulations for Amberley Green. We had further input from residents. I don't think there was anything new and exciting from residents. It was the similar kinds, and actually community members who love the place. We did not come to consensus on what to bring to council, and there were only 2 members present. So we're going to continue this in the new year. And that concludes my report.
All right, thank you. We'll now move on to the Planning Commission.
This is the 6th reading of ordinance 2020-16, adding chapter 154.84 to title 4 of the Village of Amberley codified ordinances regarding Amberley Green zoning district regulations. In order to effectively consider any type of development on the village-owned Amberley Green property, the zoning must be changed from the current restricted residence A zoning, which is single-family 1-acre lots. However, the village does not have any other zoning district that would accomplish what residents and council believe should be permitted on Amberley Green. Village staff and council have been working to create an environment to maintain green space for Amberley Green while enabling development to occur if the village council finds proposed uses acceptable for the 133-acre property. These efforts have culminated in a special zoning district being proposed for adoption by village council. Creating the special zoning district would allow for mixed uses to preserve green space, create recreational and residential areas while allowing limited opportunity for revenue generating businesses to locate at the site, which will add to the tax base of the village. And we've had several presentations on this to date, including videos on council's website, on Amberley's website. So I'm not going to reiterate all of that. So I make a motion to adopt ordinance 2020-16, adopting chapter 154.84 to create, yes.
Rich, I think before we get to the motion to adopt this, because of the adoption of the mksk study, I think there is a motion to make an amendment to it before we adopt it.
Okay.
And Peg, I think you have that proposed
Yes.
amendment?
Yes. Simply following up on what we just adopted under the Public Buildings and Parks Committee, I'd like to move that we amend the AGD zoning text to include a 7th condition for approval under the designation main heading. The text was in our packet to say that the development is considered or can be made consistent with the mksk conservation study adopted by Village Council in Resolution 2021-1 and any and all other land use, comprehensive connectivity, environmental, or slope analysis study or plan duly adopted by Village Council, unless upon review it is found that consistency should not be required due to new information not available when the plan or plans was adopted, or detailed sub-area studies indicate the compliance is not practical or feasible. So moved.
Second.
Okay, do I hear a second to that motion?
Second.
Okay, so it has been moved and seconded that we amend ordinance 2020-16 to include a 7th condition of approval as just read by Councilwoman Conway. Are there any questions or comments? I do not see any questions or comments. So it has been moved and seconded that we amend ordinance 2020-16 to add this 7th condition of approval. Please call the roll.
Richard Bardak,
Yes.
Peg Conway,
Yes.
Alita Kamine,
Yes.
Tom Muthing,
Yes.
Ray Warren,
Yes.
Natalie Wolf.
Yes.
Now, Rich, if you still want to, it would be appropriate for you to make a motion to, for the amended ordinance.
I make a motion to adopt amended ordinance 2020-16, adopting chapter 154.84 to create the Amberley Green zoning district.
Second.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded that we adopt the amended ordinance 2020-16, adding chapter 154 to the our codified ordinances. Are there any questions or comments? I mean, this is something we have been dealing with for quite some time. If there are no questions, oh, Peg.
I was just going to comment that I feel really good about the process we went through with the mksk study, and that was an outstanding concern of mine about the text, and I'm really positive on where we're at.
Okay, any other questions or comments? If not, it has been moved and seconded that we adopt the amended ordinance 2020-16. Please call the roll.
Richard Bardak,
Yes.
Peg Conway,
Yes.
Alita Kamine,
No.
Tom Youthing,
Yes.
Ray Warren,
Yes.
Natalie Wolf.
Yes.
Okay, because this was an amendment, we amended something different than what the Planning Commission had referred to us. The 5 votes that we received in favor of this are sufficient to pass this ordinance. So the ordinance is approved and it will go into effect 45 days from this evening.
That concludes my report.
Thank you very much. Okay, we'll now move on to the Health, Education, and Welfare Committee.
Thank you. And I apologize for the extra noise that's happening right behind me in my kitchen. So the Health, Education, and Welfare Committee met in December. And we have been talking about making the We Thrive Committee an advisory committee of council in the same way that the Environmental Stewardship Committee is. And as you all know, Amberley has been involved with We Thrive since 2011, and it's been an excellent relationship with We Thrive and Hamilton County Public Health. And Amberley has got a lot out of this relationship. I mean, you know, the community gardens, the signage at the and the parkour equipment at Village Hall, the one-stop drop, which if you go to watchusthrive.org, Amberley is featured on their website for our one-stop drop program. And with renewed interest in really wanting to move forward with the health and wellness aspect of the pathways of We Thrive, we've got a resident, Carol Donnellan, who's been very, very active, and the committee has been meeting once a month. So what you have before you is Ordinance 2021-1, which is an ordinance establishing the We Thrive Health and Wellness Committee. Basically, like, I mean, all of the great things that We Thrive is, you know, that they do, the committee does. It's really designed to be, by codifying it in the ordinances, it is a way to invite more community members to be actively involved in our community. And they have been, so it's working even without an ordinance, but an ordinance actually gives it more of a sense of of value. So I move that we pass the ordinance 2021-1.
Second.
Natalie, this would be the first reading of it. So
Oh,
if
we're
you
doing
want,
it that, okay.
so if you want to pass it this evening, you would have to waive the 3 readings.
I mean, honestly, I don't see any reason to rereading this. Does anybody?
No, I would.
You can make your motion to waive the 3 readings.
Okay. Well, I would also like to make a motion to waive the 3 readings of 2021-1.
A second.
Been moved and seconded that we waive the 3 readings with respect to ordinance 2021-1, which would authorize the creation of the We Thrive Health and Wellness Committee. Are there any questions with respect to this motion? If not, it has been moved and seconded that we waive the 3 readings with respect to ordinance 2021-1. Please call the roll.
Richard Bardak,
Yes, yes,
Peg Conway,
Yes.
Alita Kamine,
Yes.
Tom Muthing,
Yes.
Ray Warren,
Yes,
Natalie Wolf.
Yes.
Okay, now you can make your motion to approve the ordinance.
Okay. Do I have to do the emergency thing?
First, you would want to approve the ordinance. I
Okay.
really don't think in this case you need to pass it as an emergency measure, though.
All right. I move that council pass ordinance 2021-1 establishing We Thrive Health and Wellness Committee.
Second.
Do I have a second?
Sure, second.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded that we approve ordinance 2021-1, authorizing the creation of the We Thrive Health and Wellness Committee. Are there any questions or comments? If not, it has been moved and seconded that we adopt ordinance 2021-1. Please call the roll.
Richard Bardak,
yes, yes,
Peg Conway,
Yes.
Alita Kamine,
Yes.
Tom Muthing,
Yes.
Ray Warren,
yes, yes.
Natalie Wolf.
Yes.
Okay, Natalie, it'll go into effect 45 days from today if we don't have the emergency measure, which I think is okay, right?
Yeah, I think so. I'm very, very excited that we have done this. This is good. This is a good thing for the community.
I like the name.
Okay, and I assume that completes your.
Oh, sorry. Yes, that completes my report.
Okay, we'll now move on to the Streets, Public Utilities, and Sewers Committee.
Thank you. The Streets Committee met last on December 7th. I just wanted to make a note, and I'm sure I speak for everyone on council and most everyone in the community. You know, our committee is composed of Ed Hattenback and Rick Bardak, and we certainly miss Ed tonight. And as I said, I'm sure we, whatever I say, I'm sure everyone shares the sentiment. We certainly pray for a complete and rapid recovery for Ed. Before you is resolution 2021-2, authorizing professional service rate schedule for the village engineer. The village hired CT Consultants, formerly known as CDS and Associates, as village engineer in the 1980s, and they've provided the village with abundant professional engineering, a broad range of services such as stormwater infrastructure and street improvements, architecture, structural, acquiring grant funding, in addition to general public works engineering. And I'm sure everyone is aware of the value of the engineering services in terms of giving us good estimates, fair estimates for the work that needs to be done in the village. Other comprehensive engineering includes site plan review, capital improvement planning, traffic studies, and signal design, subdivision regulation, and review and right-of-way acquisitions. The village has adopted resolutions when the engineering rate increases. This has gone on for several years. CT has submitted an average rate schedule increase of 2.6% for the upcoming year across the board. The highest increase is 2.72%, the lowest increase is 2.49%. The village's annual expenditures for engineering varies depending on the projects and activity in a particular year. So for example, on average, the village spent about $77,000 over the past 3 years, and that breaks down into about $80,000 in 2018, $102,000 in 2019, and $61,000 as of November of 2020. So the Streets, Public Utilities, and Sewer Committee reviewed and recommends to council approving the new 2021 engineering fee rate for CT consultants. So, with council's approval, resolution 2021-2 is on the docket.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we adopt resolution 2021-2, authorizing the new rate schedule for the village engineer. Are there any questions or comments? If not, it has been moved and seconded that we adopt resolution 2021-2. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, it sounds like
I said aye, but I don't know if I was muted.
if any of, I heard all ayes, so we can consider the resolution.
Rick, you want to raise your hand?
The resolution passes unanimously. And I assume that completes your report.
That concludes the streets report. Thank you.
Okay. Next is the Finance Committee, and in Ed's absence as the number 2 person on the committee, I'll prepare the report. Obviously, will not do give it as well as Ed would, but I'll try. First is a motion to amend our appropriations that we just approved at our December meeting. I think this again is a great indication of how on top of things our finance director, Kathy, is. The process that we go through in approving the appropriations for the funds that are not the general fund is that she basically looks at the forecasted balance that she sees at the end of the year, adds in the revenues that she anticipates will be received in the next year, and appropriates the total of those two. In the case of the employee severance fund, there was one expenditure for a very small amount. I think it was $139.75 in December. And therefore the balance that she had forecasted ended up being $139.75 lower. So before you is an amendment to the appropriations to reduce the appropriations in the employee severance fund by $139.75. So I move that we amend the appropriations for this $139.75.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve ordinance 2021-2, which would amend the appropriations for the year 2021. Are there any questions or comments? If not, it's been moved and seconded that we adopt ordinance 2021-2. Please call the roll.
Richard Bardak. I
Rich,
see.
was that a yes?
Yes, did that go? Yeah.
There we
Yep.
go.
Yep.
Yes. Peg Conway.
Yes.
Alita Kamine.
Yes.
Tom Muthing.
Yes.
Ray Warren.
Yes.
Natalie Wolf.
Yes.
Okay, and then the next item is ordinance 2021-3, and this both the Finance Committee and the Streets Committee met over the period November and December to look at the streets plan. And then, as you recall, at the December meeting, council in fact formally adopted the streets plan that was put together by the staff and reviewed by the streets committee, and council approved that plan for the next 6 years. Now, when the streets committee and finance looked at the plan, the discussion was how we were going to pay for the plan. And again, with the help of staff, we have come up with a plan of how we pay for that, which is to basically use our existing fund balances, continue to transfer money from the general fund, that we will continue to use our gasoline tax revenues, and then we will also use some unencumbered general fund balances. But one thing we looked at was the possibility of increasing or adding an additional $5 license plate fee, which is something that the Ohio legislature created this option in 2019 for local municipalities to be able to assess an additional $5 license fee. And the reason they did that was they recognized that local municipalities needed assistance in order to pay for street work and so forth. A number of communities around Amberley have already adopted this additional $5 license fee. The finance committee looked at this and felt that this would be a good way. It will bring in approximately $19,000 a year to the village to help pay for our street program. So the first thing I would like to do, this is something that it will not go into effect for Amberley residents until 1/1/2022, but this is something that we think made a lot of sense. The finance committee was 100% behind it. So I would first like to waive the 3 readings on ordinance 2021-3, which would allow us to, again, it doesn't go into effect till the beginning of next year, but we need to make the appropriate authorities aware that we've approved it. So I would like to first waive the 3 readings. So I make a motion to waive 3 readings.
Second.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded that we waive the 3 readings with respect to ordinance 2021-3. Are there any questions or comments? If not, it has been moved and seconded that we waive the 3 readings with respect to ordinance 2021-3. Please call the roll.
Richard Bardak,
Yes.
Peg Conway,
Yes.
Alita Kamine,
Yes.
Tom Muthing,
Yes.
Ray Warren,
Yes.
Natalie Wolf.
Yes.
And now I would like to make a motion to approve ordinance 2021-3, which would put in place the additional $5 license plate fee effective 1/1/22.
Second.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded that we approve ordinance 2021-3. Are there any questions or comments? If not, it has been moved and seconded that we adopt ordinance 2021-3. Please call the roll.
Richard Bardak,
Yes.
Peg Conway,
Yes.
Alita Kamine,
Yes.
Tom Muthing,
Yes.
Ray Warren,
Yes.
Natalie Wolf.
Yes.
And again, this will go into effect 45 days after this evening. And that concludes my report from the Finance Committee. Next, we have the Law Committee.
Okay, ordinance 2020-4 is an ordinance to correct an inconsistency in the Amberley Village zoning code. The village maintains a zoning and property maintenance code to promote the health, safety, and welfare of residents and the community, as well as to protect and preserve property values and the quality of the life of the residents. To that end, the village makes every effort to be consistent and clear in its expectations of properties in the village. While researching sections of the village code in need of updating, staff discovered a redundancy and possible conflict between two sections of the village's code in regards to inoperable vehicles in the village. In reviewing the village zoning code, it was determined that there were two sections of the code that address inoperative motor vehicles, including section 95.61, which passed in 1998, and section 159.168, which passed in 2007. The intent of both sections of the code is to place restrictions on inoperative and unlicensed vehicles to be stored on any parcel in the village unless stored in a completely enclosed structure. However, Code Section 95.61B provides a means of penalizing an occupant for a violation of the village code, and Section 159.168B provides a means of restricting vehicles from being parked on a non-dedicated surface. The purpose of the code modification is to provide staff with the means of upholding the intent of the village zoning and property maintenance code to be consistent and to clarify the intent of the code. The modification would repeal Section 95.61 of the Municipal Code of Ordinances, updating the more recent Section 159.168 to include language previously found under Section 95.61 and clearly defining penalties associated with inoperative vehicles in one section of the village code. So based on that, I would move to adopt ordinance 2021.
Rich, again, if we want to go forward with a motion to adopt, we first need to waive 3 readings.
Right, okay. I make a motion to adopt the 3 readings of ordinance 2021-4.
Second.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded that we waive the 3 readings with respect to ordinance 2021-4. Are there any questions or comments? If not, it has been moved. Is that a question?
If someone's at the door.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we waive the 3 readings with respect to ordinance 2021-4. Please call the roll.
Richard Bardak,
Yes.
Peg Conway,
Yes.
Alita Kamine,
Yes.
Tom Muthing,
Yes.
Ray Warren,
Yes.
Natalie Wolf.
Yes.
Okay, Rich, now it would be appropriate to make your motion.
I make a motion to adopt ordinance 2021-4, repealing section 95.61 and amending section 159.168 of the Amberley Village Zoning Code.
Second.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded that we adopt ordinance 2021-4, repealing section 95.61 and amending section 159.168 as described. Are there any questions or comments? Ray, you have a question.
Yeah, just curious, with the chief here as well. Have we had issues like this in the village recently? Abandoned cars, well, not abandoned cars, but old inoperable cars on people's properties?
Yeah, we have a number of those throughout the village as we speak now. And we attempt to send letters and everything else, but yeah, we do have them.
Yeah, thank you.
That concludes my report.
Whoa. We still need to, we're still going to vote on the ordinance. Okay, so it has been, if there's no further questions, it has been moved and seconded that we adopt ordinance 2021-4. Please call the roll.
Richard Bardak,
Yes.
Peg Conway,
Yes.
Alita Kamine,
Yes.
Tom Muthing,
Yes.
Ray Warren,
Yes.
Natalie Wolf.
Yes.
Okay. We'll now move on to the manager's report.
The only item I wanted to discuss with council this evening is in regards to the schedule. for 2021, our meeting schedule. So included in your packet was the list of proposed meeting dates and any potential conflicts. We went through a variety of calendars to identify any conflicts. So this is really up to council if there are any conflicts that we did not identify, if there are any meeting dates that need to be changed. If not, the schedule will stand as is.
And just the proposed schedule is that we would stick to the standard second Monday for all meetings every month in 2021, because there did not appear to be conflicts with Jewish holidays or anything else. So is that all right with all council members?
Good.
Okay, great. All right, thank you. That's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Chief, do you have anything?
Yeah, Mayor, I just wanted to let everybody know that the command staff was here tonight. Lieutenant Bloom, Sergeant Smith-Gosling, Sergeant Koenig, Sergeant Gehring, Sergeant Baker, Sergeant Shaw was unable to make it. This is just part of our progression planning for the future of the village and the police department. I would continue to move forward and try to figure out, see how things operate. But also, I want to point out that Sergeant Gehring was the one who was recently promoted to our new training supervisor position, where he has taken that under his wings, and he started that on the 3rd, where he currently is working with night shift. And Sergeant Baker started on the 3rd as our newly promoted sergeant, and he picked up his own shift starting on the 3rd as well. Our new hire, Brian Vaughn, who is actually a current employee with the village, he's working with our new training officer now, Sergeant Gehring, getting him acclimated to operations and things. He comes to us from, with years of experience from Lockland Police, where he actually served in the rank of a supervisor. He served in St. Bernard Fire, and recently when we stole him from the city of Reading. So we still got a good bond with them. They were sad to lose him, but he's actually going to be a good asset to our department. And I'm sure with Sergeant Gehring, he'll be released on his own in no time. And that concludes my report.
Are there any questions for the chief? Okay. With respect to the mayor's report, the only item I have, and I got this email today and I'll forward it to all council members later on, but I got an email from Rumpke. They did announce that they are going to be adding in the additional items into their recycling stream that will include yogurt containers, cottage, it's basically all tubs is the way they describe it. So it's yogurt containers, it's cottage cheese containers, it's butter containers, and they say basically all you have to do is clean the container, put the lid back on it if there is a lid, and throw it in your recycling bin. So, I think that'll be something, Tammy, we want to get out to the residents in our next e-news and other things, because that is something that I know residents have always been confused by as to why they couldn't put that in the recycling stream. And that concludes my mayor's report.
One comment, Tom?
Yeah.
I believe the new recycling piece is that Rumpke is collecting code 5 and I believe code 4. But code 5
Rumpke does not like going by those codes. They stress always to look at the picture on the bins, because some of those codes sometimes get, if you just look at those numbers, sometimes those are not accurate on the actual things.
Okay.
That's why they've always developed that, go by that picture, because there have been issues. Okay. Is there any new business? If not, for residents that are viewing this, I'm going to be shortly making a motion to adjourn into executive session. This executive session is to complete the review of the village manager, which we go through every year. We started this in December, and we're going to complete it this evening. But I do want to make all residents aware that the council is very, very happy with the performance of our village manager. We're at when we went through the review last month, everyone, saw that the performance in 2020 was outstanding, especially given the challenges that Scott and his team faced during the year with COVID and storms and many other things that were thrown at them, and they continued to just perform in an outstanding manner. So we will be adjourning into executive session. After the executive session, we'll be coming out, but basically the meeting this evening is pretty much complete. We will report on anything that comes out of the executive session at next month's meeting also, so you will not miss anything, I assure you. So I hereby would like to make a motion that we adjourn into executive session, the purpose of which is to consider the village manager's appraisal and compensation for the following year.
Second.
Okay, a motion's been made and seconded to adjourn into executive session. Please call the roll.
Sorry about that. Richard Bardak,
Yes.
Peg Conway,
Yes.
Kamine,
Yes.
Tom Muthing,
Yes.
Ray Warren,
Yes.
Natalie Wolf.
Yes.
Okay, so for those in attendance here or watching, this effectively will complete the meeting for this evening. And we are adjourning into executive session at 7:17. Well, we got this, we really have this down.
Way to go.
Okay. We're rejoining in general session at 7:40 p.m. And I have two motions that I would like to make. First, I'd like to move that we approve the village manager's appraisal as submitted.
Second?
Second.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded that we approve the village manager's appraisal as submitted. Are any questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, it's approved. And then I would like to make a motion which will be incorporated into an ordinance that the council can consider at the February meeting, but I would like to make a motion that we adjust the village manager's compensation in his contract to increase his compensation to $136,500 per year.
Second.
Second.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded that we adjust the village manager's compensation to be incorporated into his contract to $136,500. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All in favor, right?
Yes.
Good. So, is there any other business? If not, we can consider the meeting adjourned. And thank you all very much. It was, I think, pretty efficient meeting. So thanks.
Thank you.
Have a
Thanks,
good night.
Thank you.
everybody.
Bye,
Take care.
everyone.